So greetings from Bled and IDC Bled School of Management, and welcome to the presentation of two highly successful IDC programs, the General Management Program and Young Managers Program. I'm Sasha Zupan, and I'm responsible for the sales of those two programs. The InfoSession will be led by Dr. Ninad Filipovic, a long-time professor at IDC Bled School of Management, and also the Director of Executive Education. So to start, hello Ninad, and welcome also to you. To start, we would like to show you a short movie for those who may not have visited our school yet, so that you can get a feeling for what the IDC experience is like.
So welcome also on my behalf. I plan to speak for about 45 minutes or so, and then of course there will be space for questions from your side, if anything will be of interest for you. And as Sasha said, to start, just the first thing, showing a short movie about the school.
Leadership is about inventing something, all right, responding to the challenges, but also creating the challenges.
What you will definitely agree is that great sales forces are never born. A great sales force is the result of managers making conscious choices for a long period of time in a way which is steady and consistent with the strategy of the organization.
So numbers don't say everything. Actually, looking at the movie, you can see that it's more about our surroundings and what happens in the school than the numbers. But yes, we have been around for a while, and in that process, actually, this movie was made a couple of months ago, and in the meantime, we are already above 100,000 people going through our school through various programs, which brings us to about 3,000 people every year going through the school. And when I speak about people, mostly, of course, managers, we are school for executives, and both programs that I'll be talking about are addressing the audience, managerial audience, GMP, a little bit more advanced one, and then the Young Managers Program. Both programs also contribute to the alumni body. These are all the participants who have been in our longer programs in the school, MBA, DBA, and programs like the two I'll be talking about today. And as you can see from the slide, almost 6,000 people in 16 different countries are organized in alumni clubs, which in itself is a value of networking and colleagues coming together, talking about their business issues, helping each other, or just having an opportunity for social forum. As you probably know, we are not building our work on a large number of our permanent faculty. Actually, the number of permanent faculty is small, but we have more than 60 professors coming from all over the world, most of them from Europe and North America. And all of them, I think, share on the one hand side experience in executive education, experience in consulting work, practical work of companies, being able to be relevant counterparts in the discussion in the class. And they bring together more than 1,000 years of joint faculty experience. Although again, when you have a class like in GMP with, let's say, 40, 50 people in the class, and on average 15 years of business experience, that already translates to 600 years of business experience in the class, which nicely complements the experience of the faculty. Why would anyone come to IDC? And what makes IDC, at least to some degree, different from other schools? It's a tough question always. Many schools claim that they have excellent programs, and many do have excellent programs. I think there are 10 distinctive features, some of them more distinctive, and especially the ones I'll be talking about at the beginning. One is our ability in our programs to create a kind of experience which some people say is life-changing. Life-changing sounds as a very strong phrase. Even if not life-changing, I would say an experience that is transformational, that allows people to move to the next level of personal development, professional development, and also take responsibilities appropriately. Be self-confident and be better ready for demanding jobs in today's world. This applies to individuals because many of our programs, like the GMP and the YMP, are targeting individuals. It also applies to organizations because, as you'll see very soon in the next slide, we have also programs which are designed for special needs of the companies. What else? International perspective, for sure. I mentioned 100 countries that have contributed to our classes over time, but actually, even if I just take last year, for example, we had people from 50 countries. So it's not that it's few, it's quite a few. In the GMP itself and in the YMP, easily 15 countries in every class. International perspective, which is from international participation, but also from professors being able to talk and connect the global thinking about business with the regional specifics or local specifics. And these high-quality professors, many of them senior in terms of experience, but still very full of energy and able to engage the class in the work. We are quite proud that if you just look at the almost trivial number, and that is the satisfaction with the professors, the average satisfaction in the school in a given year is usually between 4.6 and 4.7 on the scale to 5, which is quite remarkable because the audience is a demanding one. Executives tend not to be merciful if they face somebody who is not up to the level. It does, this kind of people can then engage. It does bring also innovative learning. The learning which is not what people get usually at the universities, textbook type of learning. Most of it is face-to-face. We do have few online things, and we actually considered at one point in time, we actually had during the pandemics to move to online, but and we did it. But when we considered offering an option for online GMP, for example, it was actually not received at all by the companies. Participants still see a lot of value in physical interaction. And that interaction then allows for things like rowing on the Lake of Bled, together with the Olympic winners in rowing. As you know, Bled is famous for excellent rowing teams. And learning from that experience about teamwork, or engaging with, again, wonderful choir, singing beautifully, and then having to conduct the choir and learning from that experience about physical needs for being assertive in the space, for being able to communicate, get in touch with people in the leadership job. So different kinds of course, simulations. I already mentioned case studies and so on, very, very interactive. It is energizing. The fact that we do it in a way which is not tiring, which is not traditional in the sense of pouring, reading from the textbooks, pouring into the heads of people. It is an experience that throughout all the activities brings energy, the quality of discussions, the friendships coined at the school. It also allow for very, very nice feeling when going home, feeling ready to engage into new ventures. And that is supported by the bled environment. The school itself is beautiful. It's an art gallery, many pieces of art. We find inspiration in arts. We use arts also in teaching of leadership. We do offer a number of customized programs every year. About 40% of all the activities we do are for the companies, being completely adjusted to their needs. We offer, as you will see in the next slide, the support for managers from very early stages of their careers up to the very mature stages of their careers. And we create networks of people who can stay together even after finishing the programs at Bled. Last but not least, the school is accredited internationally with AMBA IQA and nationally with NACRIS. So not the GMP program, of course, which is not a degree program, but our degree programs are accredited and participants can benefit from that. I mentioned lifelong learning and lifelong support we offer to participants. And as you can see, it starts with Young Managers program. And I'll say, of course, more about it in a moment. And then goes all the way up to the DBA, which is the most senior program for us, which allows people to get a doctoral degree and stay focused on business. It's, again, not an academic, but a research program, but very practical program. And on top of that, we have a number of short programs and, as mentioned, customized programs and organizational development support, coachings, mentorings, and so on. I will focus on two out of this whole range of programs. And to start with, it will be General Management Program. The General Management Program was one of the first we as a school designed more than 30 years ago, understanding the need of managers to get prepared for taking over the job, which requires a holistic view of the company. So in a way, the name of the program tells what it is. It is the program aspiring to bring together a number of topics and in a comprehensive way, of course, because we only have 4 weeks, it's still not an MBA program, prepare people to deal with strategic issues in the companies. And as such, it serves the needs of different audiences. Sometimes it's very clear we get, and in current in current GMP program, we have a number of people of that profile. We get people who came from the functional area, for example, R&D head or head of a marketing department, and now come up in the organizational hierarchy to the point where they have to be exposed more to the issues that deal with the whole company, connect better with colleagues from other parts of the company, and become strategic leaders. We also have people who are going out of a national organization into a more international setting. And we also have in the GMP a smaller group, but still, of entrepreneurs, people who have their own businesses, own family businesses, and are looking at developing them more and looking at passing them on to successors. Now, again, the GMP as such, one distinctive feature of the GMP is to be able to talk about the issues which are valid all around the world, but then also with professors who know well wider regions, including Central and Eastern Europe, including Southeast Europe, Western Europe, because we have quite a lot of participants coming from the Western Europe. We can talk about global practices, best practices worldwide, but we can also discuss what it means in a specific part of the world, in a specific industry or specific company. And still be able to talk about individual issues while keeping an eye on what they mean overall in the company, because it doesn't make sense discussing marketing or finance as they appear in vacuum. They are all connecting, all these topics are connected to each other, and the good management practices in the company require that participants are able to move from one area to another area, not necessarily at the level of details, professional expertise, but at least at the level of understanding what are the big issues in those areas and engaging then in productive discussions with experts, asking the right kind of questions, and being able to form a bigger picture, but also in their own area of responsibility, make decisions and move based on this picture, move into concrete application and concrete actions. We are very specific in one way in our GMP. It's not only dynamic environment, it's also dynamic enrollment. What happens in the program is that in every module, some people join the group, some others finish with that module. So throughout the program, easily one gets exposed to 80 different participants or more. And that adds to this dynamism, exchange of ideas, and creation of the network. Part of the GMP are the projects. I'll say a few words more about them in a moment. Every participant gets the opportunity to resolve a strategic challenge from own scope of work within the company, something that matters for the company, and does it in the program under the mentorship of one of our experienced professors, and of course in a highly confidential environment. Last but not least, when we look at different industries, people come from different areas of expertise, they bring in even different nationalities. We're happy to see very diverse class. And diverse classes are, of course, potential source of a lot of learning, a lot of fun also, some misunderstandings. I think these days it is important to be ready to operate in a globally connected world. And this is what GMP allows for. On average, participants, and as said, I think Sasha will correct me if I'm wrong, but I think at the moment we have around 40 people in the program for this module. On average, 15 years of business experience or more, average age 38. And that means we are dealing with very experienced people on average. There is a range, but I don't think we would have participants with less than 3 to 5 years of business experience in that program, and coming from different cultures, different parts of the world. 4 modules, 4 weeks. And if I look at chronological from the start of the year, we will start now in April for the next module, I mean the first module of this year. As I said, some of the people are already in the program from the last year, and some of them will finish now. So the enrollment is possible at any point in the program. But the first 2, April and June module, are modules which are focused on core functional topics. And we look at business in 3 dimensions, if you want. One is the dimension of strategy and business, understanding the markets, understanding what makes company competitive. The other is pure managerial one, being able to set up appropriate processes in the company, understand what are the financial implications of certain decisions, being able to run the operations efficiently. And that will be part of these 2 weeks, along with the third dimension, that is people, and the basic introduction to leadership, and what makes us good leaders in our companies. So each of these 4 topics, leadership, strategy, finance and accounting, and strategic marketing, 4 topics, will be covered in 3 days in these 2 modules. And then in the next 2 modules, we will talk about more holistic views and competencies that we need in order to be successful in managing our companies. And what we believe actually is that project management is at the core of successful business project implementation, and at the core even of strategy implementation in any company. Projects is the way companies work, make things happen. And we will spend some time on that. We find this an important part. We will go through other topics: communications, decision-making, negotiations, change management. And then at the end of these 2 weeks, we will finish with, in November, we'll finish with an interesting approach. We call it integrative approach to business. And that means that 3 professors, professor of leadership, professor of finance, and professor of strategy, if you want to peel the onion, they look at the things each from own perspective, but then also bring them together. And we actually even have a case where all 3 cooperate and discuss with the class and start from pure financial perspective, but then move into strategic perspective and with leadership perspective, to show that things in companies don't happen in separation, that you can't have a successful marketing plan without understanding what it means for finance and how to motivate people and how to, let's call it, sell it to the stakeholders for successful implementation. So these are the 4 weeks, and what then brings them together, and where participants can use also what they have learned during the program, is what we call projects. As said, these are individual. This is individual work. Each participant does it for herself, and participants come when they join the school. In the first module, they join with an idea of a topic which they would like to work on. Based on the profile of the topic, of course, we check that it makes sense from our experience. We secure, if necessary, all the legal work in terms of non-disclosure agreements and everything that the company needs to be to feel safe that the project will be completely confidential. And then we appoint a mentor who then works with that participant, first on understanding what is behind, what are the key assumptions behind the challenge, structuring what is the right approach to what are the questions to be answered, and what is the right approach to answering these questions, what kind of analysis has to be done, collecting the necessary data, building conclusions out of that, coming up with a feasible solution, and then also preparing the implementation plan, understanding the risks involved, and moving to make then the solution implemented in the company. It's high practical value. We often hear from the companies. Actually, once we asked several companies, we did a survey whether they think it's added value or not to the program. We wanted to be sure. And one large company told us, well, without projects, this is so much value in the program that we would rethink whether we would send participants to the program or not, would there be no projects. So, of course, we kept them. And they are the only thing we require people to do outside of the modules. That's one of the advantages of the GMP, that we don't burden people with much of the work outside of the module. So in the week they're with us, they have to be fully focused, but otherwise, apart from projects which anyhow are topics that they have to work on in their company, so that it's not an added burden. It's something that actually is a help because they can do it with support of the mentors. But that's the only thing the program expects from the participants, apart from being present during the modules. So not to go through this in details, but as you can see from this slide, I think participants take a lot of value out of the GMP. They perform better, and therefore they make their own companies perform better. And they create visibility for themselves based on good performance, but also based on higher level of self-awareness and self-confidence, which they get through the program. And therefore, then they become better seen in the companies and more ready for the promotion. They widen their thinking for sure, and they get ready for taking over responsibilities. And at the end of the day, they also grow as individuals. Participants go out of the program with a sense of maturity, with a sense of being better aware of what are their good sides or their weaker sides, how to complement themselves with people from the team, which can, in every situation, of course, help us to depend on others where we are not the strongest, and do it in a good way. Admission criteria. I said that rarely we see really young people. We do expect at least formally, at least 3 years of meaningful managerial experience, solid English. We do individual interviews, so that allows us to check whether the person on the one hand side is fluent enough, and on the other hand side is mature enough in looking at the way the business is done and own responsibilities, and so looking in a healthy way on personal development for the future. It's a program that costs about a little bit less than 8,000 people, but there is an early bird which will expire soon in March, but it's still within reach. It covers all the expenses except lodging, except hotels and stay at Bled, but it does cover all the material and then also lunches and 2 coffee breaks. Once again, if not now in April, participants can join in June or even then later in October or November. That's about the GMP program in a nutshell. And let me now move to the Young Managers program and say a few words more about it. Oh, by the way, now I see how often it is that we don't see spelling mistakes on our slides. Young Managers program, Young Managers program. As always, it is end of June, early July. We made it traditional in that period. And it's a funny title. We keep the title Young Managers Program, but we don't necessarily mean young in terms of age. And actually, I've interviewed a couple of people for this year. We have good enrollment already. Half of the class is already full. And some of the candidates are over 40 years, but they are first-time managers. In other words, they have been very recently promoted to their first managerial position. They were professionals, experts. Typically, it happens in technical areas, in R&D, in operations, sometimes also in sales or marketing. So people who come into the program are fresh or are about to be promoted. And they would need, let's call it a map of terrain, something that helps them understand what are the issues connected to the world of management and what are the managerial responsibilities, dimensions people should think about when they think about management. And these are the 4 major things. Again, we only have less than 2 weeks for the program, so it has to be very highly condensed. But still, it allows for good understanding of several areas. I will say a few words about that in a moment. key areas for needed to be done by managers, young managers, in an appropriate way. It results with a sense of empowerment that participants, after going out of the program, are ready to test their ideas and make decisions and be less reluctant in their first moves as managers. It creates international network. Normally, we would have around 60 to 70 people in every year cohort. So over time, we have built several thousand people as alumni of this program. But even if one stays just within one's own year, it's a large international network. And it is fun. These people are on average a little bit younger, as you will see in a moment. And that's fun in terms of diversity, in terms of energy, in terms of very different cultural backgrounds. Average age is around 30, but as I said, we do have here people who are maybe 25 or 26, and we have people who might be even 40 or 40 plus. Yeah. This is one of more international programs we have. And I mean, most of our programs are highly international, but here easily 15, 17, 20 countries in a given cohort. And then how it goes, we see these critical topics. To start with, people becoming managers should be understanding the context in which the company operates. And that means understanding the markets in which they operate and understanding the strategy of addressing these markets. And marketing as such is the basis for interaction with the customers, but also internal interactions among the clients, among the employees, sorry. And employees work together in teams. New managers, young managers typically don't have skills of leading teams, and we spend some time on talking what makes high-performing teams and what are the leadership challenges and how to resolve them to come to high-performance teams. And part of that is also communicating well and being able to influence, even though not necessarily having full, let's call it hierarchical authority, because young managers are at the bottom of the feed chain often. But being able to communicate in a way that brings over the ideas clearly and makes sense to senior managers, being heard, being seen. Which that often then requires being able to connect what customers want and clients need to what the company can do, and talking about strategic issues. And then finally, being able to evaluate what that means in terms of numbers in the company, understanding the performance, how we track it, understanding how decisions made in the company influence financial side of the company. Last topic that we added is something that clearly these days can't be avoided, and that is the technology, because it is changing our lives in companies big time, and we spend a bit of time in the program also on the implications of technologies for the companies, for the world around us. Admission criteria here, simple, at least 1 year of meaningful experience. I wouldn't say necessarily even managerial experience, but meaningful experience, good English. And again, we require an interview with the faculty. This is a shorter program comparable to the GMP, also lower price, a little bit less than 3,000, and a small discount for applications until second part of May. As well as in the GMP here, also all the material covered, everything that is in here on daily basis, including the lunches and the coffee breaks. So this is us, a lot of fun. I said some rowing, a lot of classes which are then split into work in smaller teams, as you can see on the slide. But also a nice setting with U-shaped amphitheaters which allow for a lot of interaction and high quality discussions. And not only traditional, let's say, button-up environment of the business, but a relaxed, safe, an environment where one can learn from making mistakes and getting a healthy laugh, because it's much easier to learn in the school of our profile, where one gets stretched and challenged. We always say learning should be stretching, learning should be challenging, otherwise we don't learn enough. But at the same time, it has to be safe. And many partners sending people to our programs. This is just some of them mentioned on the slide. Many companies contributing with their participants, both to the GMP and YMP and also other programs. For most of these companies, we also did in-company programs. So that's what I had in mind to say, and I would stop presenting now, and I would ask you, please, and Sasha will help me facilitating this discussion. Any questions from your side? Just if you can raise the hand and ask questions if you want, or put it into the chat. Any questions from your side? One question which I often get is the current situation with the registrations. How many people we can expect? At the moment, we are close to 40 people in the GMP for April. I think we will have and I would expect around 60 people for the YMP. We have 30 already enrolled, but there is still some time until late June. So I would expect we will have around 60 people. Okay. Yes, of course, if you have already, Luca, if you have already applied and we have your email, Sasha will contact you and will send a more detailed GMP curriculum to you, which so that you will be able to see day by day what is being covered. I also often get a question: to which degree is both programs demanding presence in Bled? And I would split it into two ways, if you want. One is during the day. Obviously, it's an interactive program. So we expect 100% presence with us during the sessions. And yes, during the day, one can always find some time to answer an email, or in one of the breaks or lunch breaks, answer some phones. But try to organize yourself to be detached from the office as much as possible. Also, in terms of sleeping, some people who are closer to Bled may be tempted to sleep back at home. It decreases the cost and makes family a little bit more happy. But we would normally encourage everybody who is more than, let's say, 20 minutes, half an hour driving radius to consider staying at Bled. For the social reasons, there is a lot of socializing after the end of the day, and also sometimes there are some organized activities in the evenings. So sometimes the day doesn't end at 5, but it ends maybe at 6 or 7. So it makes sense to consider also staying at Bled. Any other questions from your side? Question from non-Slovene participants. If if somebody comes from a company outside of Slovenia, then we have to get the VAT number of that company, and then the VAT tax is not paid. So it's not paid on top of the normal fee. If a participant comes as individual payer, then unfortunately they also have to pay for the VAT. That's the tax rule in Slovenia. Sasha, I think that's, if there are no other questions, then I would suggest whoever, oh, I see there is one more. Outside the classroom, yes, absolutely. Come for the coffee and join for social activities, always welcome. So partners sometimes enjoy the beauty of Bled, and yeah, there are wonderful walks around, and hotels in Bled are fine. But they should keep in mind that during the day participants are busy. Visa, yeah. So first, visa. If you are aware of the visa requirement, Sasha will make sure that the visa process goes as smoothly as possible. We have a lot of experience in helping participants in that. Depending on the country, it unfortunately can be quite tedious. For example, in Africa, there are only few embassies issuing visa for Slovenia, and people have to sometimes to travel outside of their country to get a visa. China also might take some time. So early start of the visa process is absolutely appreciated. I think, I don't know, Sasha, I don't want to promise that if now it could be already fixed for April. It's borderline. 1 month is borderline for the visa, but yes, spring, I think as soon as possible. Parking, Boštjan, you can park nearby the school. It's 2 minutes from the school, opposite to the school, because we have a parking, and then once you join the program, you get a parking permit, and you leave it in the car to show that you are with us, and you safely park. So it's solved. Any other questions? Once again, if no other questions, feel free to either access me directly or Sasha on our mails, and we'll gladly either organize additional call or answer in written form via the email. We will be happy to help with any further consultation. So thank you very much for being with us. And I'm looking forward to, can school stretch the stay time in Slovenia? That I can't answer off the top of my head. I would have to check with my colleague. Sasha is already checking, but I'm not 100% sure that, I mean, normally if you come for education and you get the education visa, you are allowed to stay during the education process itself. But if the modules are close to each other, I think, I'm not sure, that I would have to check whether then the tourist visa applies for the period in between the two modules. So we will check it, and Sasha will come back to you with the answer. Once again, thank you very, very much, and we will stay in touch, and I do hope to see you or colleagues from your companies in our programs in GMP and YMP this year already. Have a very nice remaining part of the day.
Nenad, thank you very much for this presentation, and thank you to all of you who are participating in this session. And like Ninat already said, we will stay in touch. I am on your disposal via email if you will need any additional information. And hopefully we will meet you here in school soon. So thank you very much.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.